What does it take? What does it take to change the essence of a man? So I'm like the worst YouTuber ever. It's been like 6 months since I got you a video, and I swore I was going to get you a review of Blade Runner 2049 because I had done Blade Runner. And, just everything got in the way, and then my mind got in the way, and blah, blah, blah. First it was like, if the holidays got in the way, and then I was like, I should do this, and then I forget to do it, and then I'm like, I love Denis Villeneuve. He is, yes, Quentin Tarantino is my number one favorite director in the world, but Denis is like very close number two. He has made some gorgeous films, and this is one of them. And I'm just like, can I really do justice in talking about this film? Like, it's so beautiful. Can I say the right things? And so I always like pushed it off and pushed it off and pushed it off. Now, suffice it to say, in the last 6 months, I have watched the original Blade Runner at least 6 or 7 times in preparation for watching Blade Runner 2049 and reviewing it. And always went, okay, I got the first one down and I'm going to get the next one. And then just everything got in the way and just didn't do it. And the funny thing is, I started Blade Runner 2049. I watched Blade Runner again and then watched Blade Runner 2049 weeks ago and started this review and got about halfway through and then stopped. And then a couple days later started again and then got a couple of more pages through, and then stopped again, and then started again. So it's been a journey. I can't blame it all on work, even though I am an accountant, basically, and it is tax season. I can't blame it all on work. But I don't want to ramble on about why it's been forever since I've done a review. I just want to say sorry. Getting the review done now, trying to complete this book before I'm 50. I'm nowhere near 50, so it's okay. I will get this done before I'm 50. This does qualify for something in the book. Blade Runner 2049. Like I said, I was going to get you this review. Before we get too into this, I just want to say a few disclaimers. These videos are completely unedited. So whatever comes out of my mouth is what comes out of my mouth. Sometimes unfiltered as well. Unedited and unfiltered, so sometimes adult things will come out of my mouth. So if your kids are in the room, you probably want to ask them to leave or put your headphones on. Adult themes come up in movies, adult words come up in my review, absolutely. And just so you know, there will be spoilers, absolutely spoilers, especially for the movie that I'm reviewing. And if it's a sequel, of course I'm going to talk about the entire, if it's a sequel, I will be talking about the original. If it's the trilogy, I'll be talking about the others, If I'm doing a Harry Potter review, of course I'm going to be talking about all of them, as a whole up until that point. So I will be giving spoilers away, especially for the movie that I'm reviewing. So have no fear. There will be a list of movies underneath this video that will show a header that will say spoilers. Any movie that I give spoilers away for, I will put the title there so you can avoid spoilers for anything you haven't seen. But if it's just something that I quoted, I'll put that category there too, and you don't have to worry about it. I'm not giving spoilers away from that movie. I just quoted it, So anyway, we're going to get right into this. It does qualify for a challenge in the book, challenge number 18. Set in the distant future. Now, some people might say 49 is not that far away. I mean, we're in 25. It's only, 24 years away. I think anything beyond 20 years, 20 or more, is the distant future. 10 years? Okay, maybe not. If this was, set in 2030, then that's only 5 years. I would not consider that the distant future. I would consider that the future, but more, I don't know, close or whatever you want to say. So distant future, I think anything 20 or more years absolutely is distant future. So this was made in 2017, set in 2049, like the title is. So absolutely distant future. Again, movie title Blade Runner 2049, year release 2017, aspect ratio 2.39:1, running time 2 hours and 44 minutes, so not for the faint of heart, almost 3 hours. date challenge completed was April 11th. Like I said, I completed it, but then I was like, okay, I want to watch the movie. I completed in multiple runs, so I didn't watch it and then do all my notes in one night. I did it in multiple nights, but completed on the 11th. So here it is, the 13th. I'm recording. You're probably not going to get the video until the 14th, because earlier today I wanted to make sure I watched both movies, have it all in my brain, because these movies are gorgeous. Like, honestly, both of them. And, you know, I love Ridley Scott, but I can't say that Ridley Scott is one of those directors like Denis Villeneuve that really inspires passion. He's great. I love him, love his work. But there are some of them that I'm like, I could give or take. You know, it's fine. And there are some movies that he's made that I haven't even seen. You know, The Duel or The Last Duel or whatever. There are certain things that I haven't seen, and I have zero desire to see Gladiator II. I don't even think he directed that. But anyway, Denis Villeneuve, I want to see his movies. He makes me want to see his movies, and they are gorgeous and brilliant. But both of these, I think, are fantastic movies. Anyway, my rating of this one is over the rating of the original. And that doesn't happen very often for a sequel, for me to be like, that movie was better than the original. The original, I believe I gave it a 4 out of 5, I think. 8 out of 10. This one I give 5 out of 5. 10 out of 10. Love this movie. And I haven't seen it nearly enough. I feel like I should watch it more because it's so gorgeous. Every time I put it in, I'm just like, why don't I watch this more often? It really is gorgeous. Okay, genre. My God. IMDb, we've gotten a little crazy with the fucking genres. I'm sorry, but this is insane. On IMDb, it says action epic, artificial intelligence, cyber thriller, cyberpunk, dystopian sci-fi, epic, sci-fi epic, action, drama, mystery. I'm like, fuck you. Why can't you just make a couple of... We don't need 20 fucking genres for one movie. I'm really getting sick of this IMDb. Like everything has to have its own genre. This is insane. It's insane. So I said genre, sci-fi, action, drama. That's it. That's all we need. This is a sci-fi action drama. That's it. Rated R, starring Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Jared Leto, David Bautista, Ana de Armas, Robin Wright. I mean, there's just so many people in this movie. This movie is so filled with great actors and great performances. Directed by, I've already said, Denis Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve is just so fantastic. There's only one film that he's made so far that I'm not crazy about. Otherwise, everything I've seen of his has just been like stellar. And we won't even, let's not mention this, move forward. Produced by Broderick Johnson, Andrew A. You know what? I can't read my writing. Produced by Top Cast, no, All Cast. Wow. Okay, so my mouse is freaking out here a little bit. I have one of those trackball mouses, and so sometimes it does not want to... I probably have to clean it out. Produced. Okay, I mean, there's a whole list of like 50 people. I only put down who it says produced by. So, produced by Broderick Johnson, produced by Andrew A. Kossoff, produced as Cynthia Sykes Yorkin, and produced by Bud Yorkin. Oh, maybe they were married at one point and they weren't, or maybe they weren't married at the time, but they are now. Cynthia Sykes Yorkin and Bud Yorkin. Okay, so anyway, moving on, written by Hampton Fancher and Michael Green. Is that right? I hate when I can't read my own writing. I write it so quick. Hampton Fancher and Michael Green, yes. I don't pay attention to my handwriting. Music by Hans Zimmer, and boy, the music. You know, there are very few, and what a coincidence that it's Ridley Scott. There are very few movies that create a visceral, emotional response. Just the music, watching the movie and the music. And Legend is one of them. God, like it just, something deep inside me when I hear it, it just moves, uncontrollably moves me. The original Blade Runner was like that. Legend was like that. And this is like that. Just like, whoa. Like it just, I have notes, more notes that I'll talk about the sound, but the music is just amazing. So Hans Zimmer, wow. Awards received: Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects. The cinematography is out of this world. Out of this world. Absolutely agree with that. Best Visual Effects. I mean, the visual effects were amazing. I don't know what else. I'm not going to go into my list and find out what else it was nominated for. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Why did you choose this particular film? It's the sequel to a movie that I just reviewed, which was Blade Runner. I love Denis Villeneuve, so I had to do both of these and make sure that both of them qualified for something in the book. Have you seen it? Yes, I own it. I love it. I've seen it a dozen or more times. I saw it in the theater. Absolutely love this movie. Would you recommend this film? Yes, I would recommend it, but you've got to see the original first. You really cannot. Maybe you can watch this, but you don't get the richness of it. You don't get the purpose of it. The purpose of this film is whether replicants deserve to be treated as a species. Are they self-sufficient? Can they survive without humanity, humans? And you can't really get to the heart of that unless you understand the first film. So yes, I would recommend this because it's a gorgeous film. Denis Villeneuve's amazing, but you've got to see the first one first. I hate this question. I've said this so many times. This book, I love this book. Aside from this one question, which character were you most able to identify with or connect with in what way? But no, I changed it this time again to which character would you want to play? Officer K. Yes, I would love to play him. He seems like such a fun character to figure out the little things, to figure out the big things, the times he does have that emotional, reaction. He just seems like such a fun character to play, but in the back of your head, remember that he's not human. He's not real. He's not human. He's not Terminator, but he's not human. Anyway, best line or memorable quote. When this movie came out in 2017, I was married at the time, and "it was a day" became a thing. It was a day. This became a thing with my husband and I. And we used to say that to each other. So that was a very memorable line from this movie. And Within Cells Interlinked, when he does the bass line and that within cells interlinked, that just became such a weird but prominent line from the film that I remembered. So those two lines, big time. And interesting that they, both come from, "It Was a Day" came from both Ana de Armas and Ryan Gosling. Kay, and does she have a name? I'm gonna look it up. Ana de Armas. Yeah, Joy. Well, Joy was the name of the program. It's not really her name. She didn't really have a name, which is a little unfortunate. Were you surprised by the ending? What would you do differently? Yes, okay. Yes, I was. This is a hard one. There's a point, and in my notes, I'll tell you, there's a point where it's clear they point out, as a filmmaker, he points out that she's the daughter. Spoilers, people, spoilers. They point that out. And until that point, I had no clue. I definitely believed, as Kay believed, that he was the one. So it wasn't until that point that they revealed that she's the daughter. And yes, I was shocked when that happened. Whoa! But that's not quite the very end. The very end is when he takes him and he kind of Kay sacrifices himself to meet your daughter. Now, that's very unclear, too, whether Kay dies or not. Yes, we can kind of assume that because of some of the line. Anyway, we'll get into that. I think we'll get into that. I wouldn't change a thing about this film. This film is so wonderfully made, wonderfully written, directed. I wouldn't change a thing about the. Yes, there's some acting that bothers me about Jared Leto. We'll get into it. I think we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. That does bother me. Otherwise, I wouldn't change a thing about this film. A thing. Imagine life as portrayed in this film becoming a reality. Tell why this scenario is or isn't desirable. Interesting question. Okay, I like that question. Like, some of these questions are ridiculous and some of them are really good, and that's definitely one. If you have a movie that's set in the distant future, this is a wonderful question to ask. We have AI now. And I saw this funny meme that we thought AI was going to be like Terminator, was going to be like Skynet. And here we are, we have AI and everybody's using it for porn. But to be honest, that kind of mirrors what we see in this film. What did they do with some of the AI in this film? They create joy. They create, he creates a being for him. To be able to create the perfect lover, the perfect companion, whether in physical form, which I'll get into. God, that scene is beautiful. Whether in physical form, like Weird Science, where they made like, who's the perfect girl, and they make her, but she wasn't quite emotionally what they expected, and she teaches them lessons. I mean, it has to be that. It has to be that. But anyway, otherwise it wouldn't be a film. And that's fine. But in this, it's like they created a wonderfully, perfectly emotional companion. But how do you have sex with the non-physical? But does he need to have sex? He's himself a replicant. But then the entire film is asking, just because he's a replicant doesn't mean he's not. You want to know something, Spock? Everybody's human. That line, that sentiment, I find that remark insulting. Yes, but that sentiment, that is alive here. He's trying to relate to everybody has that right to that life and that right to be who they are, and he views that as being human. Shatner. Kirk. And so when he says that, he means that everybody is part of that and deserves part of that. And so this movie is asking the question, do the replicants deserve that? And absolutely they do. So for me to say, does he not want the physical? He's not human. Well, maybe he does want the physical. He is physical. She is not, unfortunately. Joy is not physical. He is. And his desire to have that physical, she recognizes that, which is beautiful. Beautiful. But then the other replicant that he is physical with, she's also a replicant, and she desires the physical, even though it's her job. Anyway, that's really getting deep. I mean, you can really get deep with this film because it asks a lot of those kind of questions, a lot of that kind of theme. This is not a surface film. You can watch it as a surface film, absolutely. No problem with that. But they are really talking about and asking some really deep things. And it's not just this film, it's the original film. It's the entire storylines, the entire basis of the Blade Runner storyline is asking these questions. And you can really get serious and deep into that. Anything else you'd like to say? I have plenty of notes. I don't want to take too much time. I'm already almost 20 minutes in. We got to get to the notes. The little note down here that I always read with you for the first time says, made in 1902, Le Voyage dans la Lune by George Méliès, A Trip to the Moon. Okay, I think that's French. A Trip to the Moon is thought to be the first science fiction film. Oh, I didn't know that. 1902 is thought to be the first science fiction film. That's cool. Considering that I picked a science fiction film for this review. Okay, let's get into this because I do have notes, and not only notes, but you know me, I go on tangents. like I've already done multiple times. Okay, love the music. I've already said that, but not just the music, but the sound. Okay, so if you follow Denis Villeneuve and you've watched his films, he does pay particular attention to sound. It's not just the music, because yes, he's involved with the music, and it's not like he's just paying attention to sound, but if you watch his films, he pays particular attention to sound. The sound of things, and amplifying the sound of things you might think are mundane. And this is no exception. Brilliant sound. Every single time those little things, Wallace's little robot sound, the sound comes in. Absolutely, the sound. And we're going to talk about here the grubs. I call them grubs, but whatever they are, the protein things that Dave Bautista's character is farming. The sound of the boiling grubs or whatever they are is okay. Yes, it's right in the beginning of the film, so it creates an impact because it's in the beginning of the film. But just the sound of it, I will forever remember. Anytime I think about this movie, I will always remember the sound of those boiling grubs in the beginning of the film, because it's so beautifully singled out and unique. Just the sound of them boiling. It's amazing. It's amazing. Denis Villeneuve pays attention to sound. Watch his earlier films. Watch, Prisoners. Watch Sicario. He pays attention to sound. Arrival. He pays attention to the sound. And this movie is no exception. I fell in love with Ryan Gosling a long time ago. Not physically. I'm not physically attracted to him, but Stay, he's fucking brilliant in Stay. And Fracture is just amazing. Two polar opposite kind of characters. One very unsure of himself, one super sure of himself. So two polar opposite characters, Stay and Fracture, and both by Ryan Gosling, and played beautifully. Like, he's an amazing actor. He is really an amazing actor. And so I was really excited when I found out he was going to be in, anybody who was a fan of the original Blade Runner, like I was, is that, oh my God, they're making a sequel to Blade Runner, much like when they did, oh my God, they're making a sequel to Tron, and now a third one, so when I heard that they were doing a sequel to Blade Runner, I was like, oh man, one, fucking Harrison Ford has got to be in it, one. And two, well, who's going to be the lead? And when you find out Ryan Gosling is in it, I've already loved Ryan Gosling in other things, I was really excited. But still, Ryan Gosling blew me away in this movie. Did such a great job. Wonderful, just wonderful. I love Bautista. Again, a very great example of no small parts. He does such a great job. It's so memorable. There's so much emotion in what he does, and he believes every second of it. Like I've said before in other reviews, the mark of a great actor is believing you are who you are. Because if you believe it, you'll make us, the audience, believe it. And he absolutely, Bautista, made me believe every second, every breath of his performance was amazing. And every time I watch it, Jesus, I know they're both replicants, but like pounding him against and then through the wall. Wow. Like, just wow. And his performance is just, because you've never seen a miracle. Just Bautista doesn't get enough credit, and that's why I keep telling people, watch Knock at the Cabin, because that's a vehicle for Bautista. He's, in my opinion, the lead of that film. I'm sure people would agree with me. He is the lead of that film, and he's fantastic. He does a great job. Great job. One of those great guys who are all physically imposing and wonderful actor. I love the tiny little flower on the grave. It's wonderful. The bass line. So when he goes back and he does the bass line, like I said, one of my favorite lines, cells interlinked within cells. There's a little bit of emotion there even though you were not seeing him, almost, I would say 95% of that scene, we're looking at his back, or we're looking at the little sensor on the wall. We only see him from the face when they end the test. But you can hear emotion in there. And I'm like, are we supposed to have that emotion? I know they're human, they're meant to be human, they have emotion, but these nexuses are bred to obey. And so I think there's supposed to be less emotion there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I can definitely hear some emotion in there, and I'm not sure whether it's supposed to be there or not. I just remember the first time I saw this, I fell in love with that scene. Watching it multiple times, the initial love and awe of that scene has gone away because they do it multiple times, and one of them's establishing he has a baseline, the other one establishing he doesn't have a baseline. So they do the test multiple times in the films, but I remember watching it in the theater the first time, watching it just being like, whoa, I loved that scene. It was just so simple but so wonderful. I loved that scene. They smoke. I wrote that line like, they smoke? And I mean they by the replicants. Well, why wouldn't they? Here again, we get to that question, like, why don't I treat them as human? Why wouldn't they smoke? Of course, that's available to them. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they drink? Why wouldn't they smoke? Why wouldn't they eat? How human are they bred to be? How human is their body? Is their physiology made? I don't know. They're made to bleed. They're made to live. They're made to move. And, I'm going to say this note now, even though it's later, and I'm going to cross it off later. I'm going to say this note now. In the original Blade Runner, aside from Rachel, okay, so the annoying thing was they did this eye thing where they show the shadow of the eye, or the reflection of the eye in the eye. They did that way too many. It was overkill. Sorry, Ridley Scott. It was overkill. Stop doing it every second. They did it with the owl. They did it with everyone. They did it with every replicant. They did it was overkill. It was overkill. Okay. Aside from the eye thing with Rachel, every other replicant shows up as like an actor, acting like a robot, acting like a human. And I think that was done on purpose, so we, the audience, know who's a replicant and who is not. So everyone was a little off, except for Rachel. Everyone was a little off, and you could kind of tell they were replicants. In this film, that is not the case. You wouldn't know who is a replicant unless they were told to you. Like when Kay meets the prostitutes, the working girls, you would never have known that they were replicants until they're like, whoa, he's gonna kill us, or he's a Blade Runner, he's gonna whatever. You never would have known that they were replicants, never, ever. So I love the fact that in this film they are more hidden. Excuse me, they're not as obvious. Whereas in the original film they were very obvious and meant to be. So this whole thing where he's smoking, I'm like, really? He smokes? That's just another part of how he's less obvious. If we weren't told that he was replicant, we wouldn't know. The idea of the fake computer image of the food that she brings him over his whatever, the like total like transparent noodles that he's eating or whatever he's eating. I love that idea. Like he just boiled some shit and just made it, and she's like in the kitchen cooking, but she's not real, and she like brings him this computer image, like beautiful steak frites is what it looks like over his like noodle whatever. I thought that was a great idea. Oh, it was a day. I wrote that note again, but I already talked about that. It was a day. I love the emulator upgrade. What a great idea to upgrade her one. Because, I mean, we're always upgrading things now, so why wouldn't that be the case in 2049 with this? So he has the older version of it. He wants to upgrade her. Now she's not set in a console. She is now mobile, which is wonderful. It's great. She's gone from rotary to mobile phone, and it's wonderful. I think it's great. I love that when they go up. This must have been really hard on the actors, but I love it when they go up. Like, where do you want to go now that you're free? Where do you want to go? And they go out into the on the roof into the water, and it transitions. So as an audience member, sometimes you got to let go. It's a little rough too, but my eye can see really, and I've talked about this I think before. My eye sees fake really easy somehow, and I don't know why. It stands out more to me than most people. Things that don't move right or don't look right will stand out more to me and quick to me. I will catch things that are rewound quicker than, there are certain effects that you can get really, really well if you rewind the film instead of play it forward. And my eye can catch that really quick, whereas some of my friends don't quite catch that as quick. And so this scene where they go up, well, all the scenes, honestly, with Joy, she keeps going back and forth between computer, Ana de Armas, Joy. She keeps going back and forth between computer and her physically there with Ryan Gosling, and then computer and then her physically there with Ryan Gosling. And you have to accept that that's part of how he, one, wants it to look, and two, how it is. Like, it's being disrupted by the rain on the rooftop. Okay, I get it. And it's beautifully done, where sometimes it's tripling on her and sometimes it's going through her, and sometimes it's disrupting her, and sometimes she becomes more solid because she's mobile and the connection's not 100%. Okay, we get that. We understand that. Sometimes your cell phone connection goes great and sometimes it's interrupted. And this is just a beautiful physical, visual representation of that. And I loved it. It was done so well. But it must be so hard on the actors that you can't, even when she's there physically, you can't touch her. Because if you touch her and disrupt her, you're ruining the illusion that we've created. What a fucking mind trip. We've created an illusion within an illusion. So an illusion within the film, within the illusion of the film, that you can't touch her, because if you touched her, you've disrupted the computer that she's supposed to be. But you can't disrupt the computer that she's supposed to be because she's not really there. What a mind trip, but beautifully done by the actors. And you can see how awkward and hard it is when Ryan Gosling and Ana de Armas are really right next to each other and trying not to touch each other, but trying to be close enough to each other to affect what's going on. And then we bounce to the computer generated, and you see him almost touching her, but touching what's physically and not physically there. It's just one of those really difficult things as an actor to do, but watching as the audience, you're like, oh, that's cool. And you don't really think of all those little things, but that's a challenge and done very well by the two actors. Gosling and Ana de Armas, like, just really well done. Skin job. So the skin job derogatory, when they said it in here, I was so shocked because I remember the chief in the original saying, skin job. And I was like, it's such a weird, like, you automatically know, even though you're not in that world, that this is such a derogatory term. Like, why the fuck would you use that? I don't remember if it's in the book or not. I haven't read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep for so long. It's been years since I've read it. So I don't remember if skin job was, like, in the language of Philip K. Dick, but just the fact that it's in this is like, you automatically know that's derogatory. And it was interesting to hear it in the first and then hear them say it in this one. It was nice that they carried that over because we're in the same world of it. Blade Runner. Oh, that was that note that I already said. I'm not going to do that. Oh, the review. I remember being shocked in the theater. Oh, this is where we're going. Whoa! When they reveal that the bones that they discovered, and it's beautifully done, they discovered that the bones, yes, this died, unmistakably died in childbirth. Nobody killed this person. It was not foul play. These bones, this person was giving birth and died in childbirth. So that's unmistakable. Then they further discover that he was trying to save her. He was trying to do a C-section, trying to save her, and it didn't work. But then Kay doesn't let... Who's the guy? I'm going to look him up. Hold on. Who's doing the autopsy? Who's doing the... Coco. I don't even... I would butcher your name. His name is David. I would butcher his last name, so I'm not going to say it. The guy who plays Coco is David. I think he was in Gotham, the TV show Gotham. Anyway, Coco is doing the autopsy, and he's done. This is... the cause of death was she died during childbirth. Yes, there's evidence that somebody tried to save her, but then he moves on. It's Kay that isn't satisfied and continues to look and continues to dig and continues to dig and then sees these bones are from a replicant. And that fucking blew my mind. Blew my mind in the theater. I remember the feeling of, that's where we're going. Whoa! And then obviously when Madam starts talking about a replicant gave birth, changes everything. We've got to stop this. We've got to kill it. We've got to stop. Just, wow, that's where we're going. Because up until that point, I'm like, what's the point of Blade Runner 2049? Where are we going? What are we doing? You know, what is this storyline about? The original is about life and continuing life. Why do we only have a 4-year lifespan? We want more. We've seen things that humans couldn't imagine. Watch my review of Blade Runner, the original. And when I talk about his speech at the very end of the film, he has experienced things that humans couldn't imagine. And so I think the whole essence of the first film is asking that question. Why are we less than? Why do you treat us less than? Why do you give us 4-year lifespans when we have seen and are able to do so much and experience so much, and you lose that? Like tears in rain, like he says. It's such a... Anyway, so this movie, finally, here is where I get... that's where we're going. A replicant was able to give birth. That changes fucking everything. And here's the revelation of it. And it's just like, whoa. I love the revelation of it. And that she... It did shock me that her first thought is to kill it. And I love that line later on, and we'll talk about it later on. But her first emotional thought is to kill it. Why? Because this would change everything. Anyway, you know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just projecting. But when Kay is told by Madam that he doesn't have a soul, I feel like Gosling's reaction to that, Kay, it's just brilliant. Like De Niro. De Niro once said, the less you do, the more will come across. Why? Because you don't know what's happening in the audiences. I'm paraphrasing big time. But what he basically was like, the less you do as an actor, the more you portray. Why? Because let the audience feel. Don't tell them how to feel on your face, in your emotion. Don't tell them how to feel by doing something, by making a face, by making a sound. Don't do something. Let them feel how they are. Why? Because every audience member is going to be different. You're going to have different emotions, different life experiences, different places in your life that you're at. And you, as the audience, want to feel connected to this film. And I don't know if Ryan Gosling had done that here and just I am projecting something, which is absolutely 100% possible, because that's what De Niro was talking about. I, as the audience, felt something here, but Ryan Gosling did nothing. And I felt like his reaction to being told he didn't have a soul was brilliant, because I felt if I was told I didn't have a soul, watching his reaction, which literally was nothing on the screen, I felt like him. Such a powerful thing, you know, Robert De Niro's advice. Such a powerful thing. The less you do, you let the audience feel the emotion. Don't tell them how to feel. And Gosling did that beautifully here. Beautifully here. You've been getting along fine without a soul, or you've been getting along fine without one. And just his reaction it literally is nothing, because I rewatched it tonight, but I feel everything here. Like, whoa, in that moment. I just can't believe that they're not treated as real. When he's walking down earlier in the film, when he's walking down, there's like, move over. I think he said skin job, didn't he? Move over skin job or something like that. But they're really not treated as real, and it's sad to see how human they are and how human they react and how real they act in the film. It's sad to see them being treated as less than, as not human. And here is a perfect example when she says, "You don't have a soul," and he just like, it's just, what the fuck? It's hard to watch, but then at the same time, it's what the film is about. Atari. I saw the big advertisement for Atari. It's like, I used to play Atari. I love that they threw that in there. The Wallace Corp sets. The Wallace Corp. Every fucking set is gorgeous in the Wallace Corp. Like, whoa. The colors, the shadows, the long hallways. I mean, everything. The angles. Gorgeous. Like, whoever did that set design. Why the fuck wasn't it? Why didn't it win for set design? I could look up, like, who else was set design. But gorgeous. Like, wow. And again, this movie is just gorgeous. I put it here. This movie is just gorgeous. I love Denis Villeneuve. This movie is just gorgeous to watch. You can't help but just be like, honestly, both Dune films are just gorgeous to watch. Whether you can follow the storyline or not, whether you care whether it follows the book or not, they're just gorgeous films. Like the sets, the costuming, the shadowing, the cinematography. The cinematography is fucking gorgeous. And the sets and everything. It's just, wow. I love Denis Villeneuve. I love the audio clips from the original. It creates a nostalgia factor, especially since, you know, the original was in the 80s. I forget exactly what year, and then this is 2017. Such a long time to go. One of the longest, if not the longest, to go from the original to a sequel. And then just have those little bits of like nostalgia, especially for those people that loved the original before this one came out. Loved the original. So to hear those little things is fun. Edward James Olmos. Again, another Olmos. Edward James Olmos. I say almost all the time, and that's not right. Olmos. Again, it's another nostalgia thing. I have lots of questions about him in the original. Having watched the original multiple times in the last couple of months, I'm just like, who is he? What is he? Why is he? And part of me feels like, is he a replicant? I don't think so. But, I mean, that's just I don't get his character. I don't get it. I like that they put him in this because it's this nostalgia factor, and what he says and what he does is irrelevant, honestly. It is irrelevant. You could have taken that out, and who cares? But to put him in here was important, and I loved it, and it was great. I love Wallace's look. His outfits are great. Am I going to put this note in here now? You know what? I'm going to put this note in here now. I don't know any blind people. In my life, I've known deaf people. I've known physically handicapped people. I've known schizophrenics, bipolars. I've known plenty of people in my life. I've never actually met and talked to and been a part of a life of a blind person. Never. But I can say that there has been some brilliant performances in film by people who can see that, in my opinion, kind of fool me into believing that they're blind. Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman. God bless it, I can't remember her name in Red Dragon. I really thought she was blind, and it turns out she's not. Unfortunately, Jared Leto does not make me believe that he's blind. And I'm not just going to pick on him. Deep Impact. You know, right now, off the top of my brain, I can't remember the guy's name. I might remember it later. So here's the thing. Close your eyes for an hour or two. Like, literally, I'm not fucking joking. Close your eyes for an hour or two. And then walk around your house and interact with people. You are going to look at them because you can hear where they are. You can hear where they are. Now, someone who's been blind a long time will develop, as they say, heightened senses because one sense is gone. So hearing becomes more important. You can hear where somebody is, and your natural human instinct is to point your face and your eyes, whether they see or not, who you're talking to. You're not going to talk to somebody over here and be talking over here. Sorry, you're not going to be looking up here and talking to somebody over here. I'm sorry, you're just not. That's not the human. That's not the reaction a human would do. Whether you can see or not, you're still going to point your face where you can hear the voice coming from. Okay, so it bothers me when actors trying to act like they're blind, are looking like this and doing this. Yes, Ray Charles had some issues where he was like that. Yes, he was kind of, or was it Ray Charles? Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was like that? I can't remember. But not every blind person is like that. You know, people will look at you, see you, they hear where you're at. They're going to talk to where you're at. And so this, like, he's looking everywhere but him. And I'm like, you would look at where the voice is coming from. Look where the voice is coming from. Anyway, it bothers me. It bothers me more in Deep Impact because he literally just became blind hours ago. And he's like looking everywhere except for where the voice is coming from. Sorry, you wouldn't do that. Your natural human instinct would be to look where the voice is coming from, and you can hear where the voice is coming from. So anyway, that bothers me a little bit. Otherwise, I love Wallace's look. I love that they made him look so opposite of Terrell's. Terrell is so, in the original, he's so clean-cut, nerd. I mean, everything you would expect, like a clean-cut, nerdy, thick glasses, rich outfit, white, like clean-cut. And Wallace is like the complete opposite of that. I don't want to... I hate trash-talking people, so I'm not going to do that. But I once had a conversation with one of my brothers. I have plenty of them. I once had a conversation with one of my brothers where he said he saw this movie like 700 times or some shit like that. And I'm like, and this was years ago, and I'm like, the fact that this movie is 2 hours and 44 minutes long, there's no way you would have seen it 700 and something fucking times in that. It's just not possible. It's just not possible unless you watched it continuously and didn't sleep. It's not possible. Do I think that you watched it a bunch of times? Absolutely. But I've watched Terminator 2 at least 100 times in my life. And we're talking about a movie that came out in 92 and it's 2025 now. So I can easily say I've seen it at least 100 times, maybe more. It's harder to believe that I've seen The Hateful Eight 100 times, which I probably have close to 100 times because it came out in 26. It's only been, 9 years. But yes, I could have seen that 100 times, So the fact that you said you saw it like 700 times is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But anyway, he thought that it was a big revelation, or he told me he thought, hey, I think Wallace is a replicant. And he told it to me in such a way that, like, this is a revelation. Now, at the time, I had only seen this movie 2 or 3 times. I was a huge fan of it because I loved Denis Villeneuve, but it was one of those movies that I didn't love and watch over and over and over and over. There are some movies that I love, and I sit there and I watch it over and over and over and over. This was not one of them. It was one of those movies like Arrival, where I want to take my time, like Annihilation. I want to take my time and I want to watch it once every so often because I want that new-ism. You know, Mr. Brooks. I want that new-ism. And so this was one of those. So I had only seen it maybe a couple of times when he told me this. So what he was saying to me, I wasn't sure whether I believed or not. I was like, okay, I don't know if does the evidence point whether he is or isn't or not. But when I was preparing to do this review, I kept that in the back of my mind. And here comes this review. And I'm watching this movie with new eyes, with that in the back of my head, and of course he's a replicant. Okay, is that true or not? I don't know. But I'm watching the movie going, of course he's a replicant. Of course. As the audience member, I can say and do and believe whatever the fuck I want. And to me, yes, he's absolutely a replicant. Absolutely. All the evidence points towards he's a replicant. His lines. We need millions so we can be trillions. We can storm Eden and retake her. Of course he's a fucking replicant. Of course. But nobody else knows that. And that's fine. Maybe nobody else knows that. He is trying so hard. He can make millions and millions of replicants, but he cannot breed them. And that is what he's trying to. His first scene is all about that. Of course. And that he can't reach the heights that Terrell reached decades ago. Wait, okay, think. The original Blade Runner was I think it said Los Angeles 2019. Yes, decades ago, because we're in 2049, so we're talking 30 years later. So 3 decades of evolution, and he can't make it work. Wallace can't make it work, and he's frustrated with that. That whole first scene is all about that. That's why he kills that replicant. And Love has that emotional response about it. He's trying so hard to be Terrell and to outdo Terrell and do what Terrell did 30 years prior, and he can't. He can't. Of course he's a replicant. Whether the writers wrote the script saying he's a replicant or not doesn't matter. Whether Shane died at the end or not doesn't matter. If you believe he did not, he didn't. Because you're the audience member. You get to have a say too. And that's one of the most brilliant things I ever learned from a writer friend of mine who has passed, who wrote for film and television for years and years and years. He says, your opinion matters too. It's not just the writer. Because if I haven't explicitly said it in the script, then you have a right to say what you believe. And so I believe it is not clear in the script whether Wallace is a replicant or not. And as an audience member, I believe he's absolutely he's a replicant. There's no question in my mind. Absolutely. Okay. Oh my God, the music. Where are we at? We're at 54 minutes. Sorry. Oh my God, the music. The fucking music is gorgeous. Just, oh, wow. I love that all the evidence is pointing towards Kay being born. Kay being that the birth of this replicant, the replicant that was born. I love that he believes it. I love that as the audience member, especially the first time, I believed it. And I can fool myself every time I watch it. Just like, spoilers, please. Just like excuse me, Usual Suspects. Honestly, no. Usual Suspects is different because I want to know that it's him. Because I want to see the little things he does throughout the film that it is him. So there are certain movies, off the top of my head, I can't really think, but there are certain movies I want to be fooled. So let go that I've already seen this. I want to be fooled. So this is absolutely one of those where I'm like, I want to believe that Kay is the one until he's not. I want to, because it gets me more invested in this film. Absolutely more invested in this film. And I love that the evidence points that way, and he is on the course of that. I love that the orphanage, of course it's the same orphanage. There's no doubt in the mind that his memory is leading him to believing all the evidence, that he is the one. He is the one. Again, I put here the cinematography is just gorgeous. It's not just the Wallace Corp. It's not just the Wallace Corp, which is just gorgeous. And all these like fucked up dystopian like over shots of LA in 2049. It's just like, whoa. But San Diego, the trash heap, the organization this guy has with these kids, whatever they're doing, scavenging, is gorgeous. Like, it's gorgeous inside this huge, like, dome, whatever. And then the factory works with which they go through, it's all gorgeous. And then they've changed the color and they've changed the shading. It's not the same as when we went to Wallace Corp. It's not the same as when we're in Kay's house. It's not the same. It's definitely different because we're in a different environment, and it's just as gorgeous but different. And I love it. The cinematography is just wow. Who makes the memories? It's so unassuming and so beautiful. This character, what's her name? I'm probably not going to find it, huh? I don't know her name. I don't remember her name. Darn it. I should have written it down. There's a bit of every artist in their work. She points to the end, but you don't hear it at the time. At least I didn't. I didn't hear it at the time. It was just like a thing that artists say. And yeah, that's true. There's a bit of every artist in their work. Absolutely. She's creating the memories. She's so unassuming. This actress is so wonderful at being so unassuming. She's brilliantly emotional. I love her. I absolutely love, like, it creates a physical emotional response when she asks him to remember, and all we do is hear it. We've already seen it. We don't need to see it again as an audience, which is brilliant. We don't need to see it again as an audience member. We've already seen it. We've already gone through it. He already explained it to Madam, right? Did I skip those notes? I'm such an asshole right now. I did. I skipped that note. Okay, so there was a note. I went into the whole Wallace thing, and I skipped this note of when Madam goes to visit Kay. There was this really awkward transition that I noticed. And every time I watch the movie, I'm like, there's just an awkward transition. We needed a better transition. She comes into his place frustrated and angry. Not like rage angry, but definitely angry and frustrated. And Robin Wright does a great job with it. She really does. Then she goes, she has a glass of nothing for a while, and then eventually I guess she drinks. But then there's this weird, awkward cut from her being angry and frustrated and trying to get information and giving information to her like sitting with the glass and being like, and I was like, that's so awkward. We needed something to get us there, and we didn't have it. Either they edited it out or we just didn't have it. And I was like, no. There are very few things that, like I said in the beginning, that I would change about this film. One is how Jared Leto acts like he's blind, which bothers the fuck out of me. And this little part where there's this weird transition that just doesn't work for me, where she goes from being angry and frustrated to being like not sloshy, but like a little tipsy drunk. And I'm just like, there was nothing to get us there. We needed something to get us there. But the reason I bring that up is because we've seen the memory already. Because he tells her in that moment, she says, tell me something about you. And it's just, I feel awkward sharing a memory knowing it's not mine. That's what he says, I think. And so we've already seen the entire memory. He tells the memory and we see it happen. So in this moment, I think it's fucking brilliant. When she asks him, you don't have to, not too much, I just want to see it. And we hear it. And she's looking in the little viewfinder and he's just remembering it. You know, not Robert De Niro's advice again. He doesn't do a whole lot. He just sits, Ryan Gosling, and remembers it. And we hear it happening and we know what's happening. And it's brilliant. I love it. Not even a quick clip. Thank you, Denis Villeneuve. Because if you would have done even just a quick 1 or 2 clips, it would have ruined the illusion. The illusion was brilliant. The emotion and the brilliance of that scene is we don't get to see it again. We just hear it, but we know it. And then we see her reaction to it. Do we know at that time that it's her memory? Probably not. I mean, unless you write stories and write film, you probably wouldn't know at that point that this is foreshadow. You probably don't. I didn't know the first time I saw it. So I was absolutely like, she's just reacting to a real emotion, a real memory. And she says, someone lived this. Yes, this happened. And I believe that it's him because of his reaction. I know it's real. And his physical reaction, I think it's him. As the audience member, I have no problem believing that this is him. And she recognizes this is real. This is a real emotion. You came to me to ask me what is real. How do you know what's real and what's not? I'm telling you this is real. Let me see it. I'm telling you this is real. And he's like, yes, I know it's real because it happened to me. And I have no problem as the audience believing that it happened to him. I did not foresee that it was her memory. Did not foresee that. It's all the same thing. Like I love that, the same note. I love that we believe that it's him. That he believes it. At that point, he is more convinced than ever that it's him. And as the audience, I'm more convinced than ever that it's him. That he was born. Okay, I have a couple more notes. A couple more pages. Let's see if we can get through these. He goes and does his baseline, and he's fucked up because he believed. You see that emotional, like serious emotional response from him. So he is all over the place, and here he's being called to do his baseline. He's being arrested, actually, and called to do his baseline. And he does his baseline, and it's all fucked up. And the guy's like, you are nowhere near baseline. And so he goes to talk to Madam, and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And I think it's insanely brilliant. And I remember feeling in the audience, that's brilliant. What does he blame it on? I found the child. Like, I found it. And that's what's got me fucked up. What you asked, it's done. What a brilliant lie. My favorite, little off topic, my favorite Star Trek film is Star Trek VI. not only because of all the amazing fucking Shakespeare, because I love Shakespeare in that film, and two great Shakespearean actors just going at each other with Shakespearean lines back and forth, Christopher Plummer and William Shatner. But oh shit! Why did I go off on that tangent? Well, because of the lie. Spock is his race is not supposed to lie, or not able to lie, or not supposed to. He's half human, half Vulcan, but he's not supposed to or not able to. That's one of the things they just don't do. And so Valeris is constantly questioning, like, is that a lie? Is that a lie? And he's explaining why it's not a lie. No, it's an error. No, it's, this or that, or the other. And I love that he's not supposed to lie to Madam. And yet he figures out a way to lie to her. And I just felt this akin to Spock in Star Trek VI, which is one of my favorites. It is my favorite. I just felt that character akin to each other. Like, he's figured out how to lie to her without kind of lying. It's done. Because I'm the one, and I'm still... Nobody knows, and nobody will know. But when he says what you asked is done, and she believes him, I just loved it again. I just love that scene. I love that. It's so great. I love that scene. And here it goes. Here it goes what I was talking about earlier when we talked about the questions in the book. When he goes home and she has called the physical, the prostitute, the replicant, because she wants to be physical for him, but she can't because Joy is Ana de Armas. Joy. I hate calling her Joy when I know that's just the program. That's not really her name. But, okay, that's her name and on IMDb, Joy, G-O-I, J-O-I, not G, J-O-I, Joy. So anyway, Joy wants to be physical for him. She knows he is physical and wants physical at a base level. She's emotionally everything he wants, but can't be the physical. And so this gorgeous scene, and I'm straight. I'm not straight. Fuck. I'm not straight is what I meant to say. I'm not straight. But this scene with this, it's gorgeous, and I get it, and I feel every second of it. I'm gay. I'm not attracted to either one of those women at all, just on the fact that they're women. But it's so sexually charged, so brilliantly done. It's one of those very few straight sex scenes, even though they don't get to the sex, that I can actually watch that is brilliant, that gets all the emotion across, and I'm not feeling like an outsider because I'm not straight. Have you ever wanted to be with someone? I mean, have you ever been with the perfect this, the perfect that? I mean, to create, like I said earlier, weird science. But then even the emotion wasn't there. But in this film, we're led to believe that here we are, we're trying to melt the perfect physical and the perfect emotional. And it's so beautifully not right, but close enough. And just the emotion of that scene is just, wow. I was not expecting that scene. And the scene is done so well that every time I see it, I'm just like, I love falling in love with that scene over and over again. And her trying to sink to the real woman. And if you watch it enough times, really watch it again and again and again. See what she does first and what the physical does first. She doesn't go for his hand as quick as the physical goes for his hand first, because she knows she can't touch him. But the physical does go for his hand. But the emotional is physical and to kiss. She goes in for a kiss before the physical goes in for a kiss. Really watch that scene over and over and over and realize what they decided. Because, I mean, it's all decision. When you're making a film, you know what you're doing. Especially when you're making a film with computer-generated images. You know what you're doing. You know what you want. So you have to watch that scene over and over and over and realize what they decided Joy was doing first and what the prostitute, I don't remember what her name is, I don't know if she had a name, does first. And it's brilliantly decided, every little piece of that. It's just wonderfully done. I'm not straight, and I love that scene. Love that scene. The interaction between Madam and Love, Wallace's assistant, is wonderful, but I have to say that I've seen better acting from Robin Wright than that. Robin Wright blew me away when she did Unbreakable. Like, fucking blew me away. When she goes up to him and asks me, have you ever been with anybody else? It won't affect me either way. Just that. Her powerful reaction in that moment, her powerful acting in that moment is just stellar. So stellar that I will always remember it. This part where she interacts with Love, if I were the director, I would have worked with her and said, I need more. I know you can do it, and I need more. I don't believe that you just had glass dug into your hand. I don't believe it at all. You need to make me believe it. You have a glass in your hand. A replicant has now crushed it into your hand and is continuing to crush it into your hand. And I don't believe it from your performance. I need that. And she didn't give me that in this scene. But I love this interaction more so because Love is fucking amazing. Who's Love? Who plays Love? Sylvia Hoeks. Hoeks? Hoeks? Sylvia Hoeks. She's fucking amazing in this part. Like, just the betrayal, you can see it in her face what was the line? You tiny thing. In the face of the fabulous new, your only thought is to kill it? For fear of change? You can't hold a tide with a broom. Just her reaction in that moment is just brilliant. And her disgust, she carries that scene. Sorry. I mean, Robin Wright, you've been great in other things. In this scene, I don't think you're fantastic. And I think it's Sylvia that carries that scene and makes that scene amazing on her own. Just with her reactions. And the idea of what has happened. I'm going to tell... When she says, you believed him because he's not supposed to lie. I'm going to lie to Mr. Wallace about why I killed you. And then she kills her. It's just wonderful. Sylvia does such a great job in that scene. Again, I made another note. The sets, the visual effects. I mean, it won. And the sound. God. The sound, the sets that we've changed color again. We're going to Las Vegas. We've changed color again. And it's beautifully done. The shadowing, the fucking cinematography. Didn't I say it won cinematography and what? Visual effects. It's just gorgeous to watch. So now we've changed the color. We've changed the set. We're going to Vegas and we've changed everything. And here we are because we know who we're going to go see. And as a fan, I'm like, yes, Harrison Ford. I'm a fan. And here we go. Now we're going to get to, fucking Decker. Let's get to it. Let's do it. I love the echo. It may be a simple thing, but the echo in almost everywhere that they're at, because no one's around. Nothing's around. Las Vegas is abandoned. And of course there would be an echo. Now they drop the echo later when they get into the apartment, and that's fine. But I love when you first get to them and he's talking to him. He plays the piano and he's talking about Treasure Island. You hear that huge echo, and it's perfect because no one is around. You can't hear anyone else. No one is talking in the background or downstairs checking in. There's no music. There's nothing. Nothing. And so the echo is brilliant when they're talking to each other. Like, wow. Again, Denis Villeneuve really pays attention to sound. And sound includes, there is no sound, so there would be an echo. So I wrote this note. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't know. Fucking Harrison Ford accidentally hit Ryan Gosling. In those multiple... In that scene when they're in the performance room or wherever, and sometimes it's Marilyn Monroe and sometimes it's Elvis, Harrison Ford accidentally punched Ryan Gosling in one of those multiple... he throws multiple punches at him, and in one of those he accidentally punched him. And it was a big talking point in... all their interviews about how, Harrison Ford actually hit him. But, there are certain people who do interviews, especially do interviews together, that you can't help but just love watching them talk and react together. And if you go on IMDb, go on YouTube and look up the promotional interviews with Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling, they're just hilarious together, where Harrison Ford constantly acts like he can't remember if it's Ryan Gosling or Brian Gosling. And it's just funny. It's just a dynamic that they have that's funny. And I just love listening to their interviews with those two. It's just too funny. But they talk about, Harrison Ford actually hit him and how Harrison Ford said, Brian Gosling would be great at this role, and all this stuff. So you take my word for it. Look up some of the interviews. They're funny. They're really good. I love this line. We could keep it this, or we could get a drink. I wasn't sure. It's been 30 years. In 30 years, especially with what he's had to go through, Deckard is not going to be the same as he is in the first film. He's just not going to have the same personality. He's just not. And, I have to say, I don't know if I have this note later on or not, but I have to say, I've watched the first one in the last 6 months, 6 or 7 times. Regardless of Rachel, the interaction with Roy, I don't think Deckard ever would have been able to retire another replicant. Ever. The reaction with Roy, the interaction, not reaction, the interaction with Roy, that whole end scene, again, watch my review of Blade Runner. That whole interaction at the end with Roy changed, and that's why my quote in the beginning is, what does it take to change the essence of a man? Changed Deckard forever. And regardless of Rachel, I don't think he ever would have hunted another replicant again. I don't think he ever would have retired another replicant again. Of course he loves Rachel, and Rachel's a replicant, and they have a child together, and that's what this film was all about. But whether Rachel was there or not, I don't think he ever would have hunted another replicant again because of his reaction or his interaction with Roy. And so it's been 30 years and he's been through a lot. So I'm not expecting that Deckard. I'm expecting a different Deckard. Now, I get a different Deckard with some of that original Deckard there. And that's the brilliance of Harrison Ford. Being able to play this character again. Like, it's not like playing Jack Ryan, where he played Jack Ryan again and again and again, right next to each other. Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger. He played them right on top of each other. It's not like playing, Indiana Jones, where he did it two or three times within a couple of decades, but then years later he did it, and years later he did it again. You kind of have that familiarity with that character because you haven't really left it, or you did it a couple of times and then you kind of left it for a little while. This is, you played it once in the 80s, and then all of a sudden in 2017 you're asked to do it again. But he was able to find that beautiful, I'm not the same Deckard, because I've been through a lot, but there are hints of the same Deckard in there, and he did it wonderfully. The whiskey on the ground. When he pours the whiskey on the ground for the dog, not only am I like, what? As an audience member, I'm tripping, but then Kay's reaction to it is brilliant. Like, watch it again. If you didn't notice, watch it again. Kay's reaction to pouring the whiskey, when the dog goes and drinks the whiskey off the ground, he's like, is it real? I don't know. Ask him. That's brilliant. Deckard. That's brilliant. Like, wonderful. This whole first interaction is so great. There's not a whole lot of dialogue, which I like, because Deckard has been on the run. Because, like you said, we were being hunted. There's so much about that scene with them. It's important. There's so much about that scene that's important. And yet it's so short. And as far as dialogue, there's not a lot. But it's so important. And you have to remember, Kay still thinks he's the child and not telling him. He could easily be like, I'm your son, because he believes it. He could easily be, but he didn't. He doesn't say anything until he leaves the room. He says to strangers, that's a hint that he's like, I'm your son. That's a hint. But he doesn't flat out tell Deckard that, although he could, because he absolutely believes it. And we as the audience should believe it at that point. But that scene with them is wonderful. The acting is amazing. Amazing. And so little said. I wasn't expecting Wallace. I keep thinking Terrell because I'm so invested in the original film, but it's Wallace. I wasn't expecting Wallace's, love to attack and then kill Joy. Holy shit. But I guess that kind of foreshadowed that when she's like, put me into that, because if they come looking for you, they're going to find it in the program. Take me off the program and put me in the stick. Well, if you die, that's it. And she's like, yes, like a real person. So they are very much foreshadowing that, but I guess I didn't pick up on that. As good as I am sometimes at picking up on foreshadow, I didn't pick up on that foreshadow, so I was shocked when, Love attacked, and I'm glad you're satisfied with your product or something like that, and she kills Joy, and it's shocking for me. I'm wow. I love this transition when the other replicants rescue Kay. Oh shit, it's 1:23. Hour 23. The other replicants rescue Kay. Oh, let's get through this. And they're at the fireside or whatever, or wherever they're at in the desert. It's not the beach, although I associate sand with beach, but it's got to be the desert. And the fire embers go up and they turn into the city lights. Fucking beautiful transition. There are some transitions in film that are just so memorable. That is one of them. Such a gorgeous transition from that to that. It's just like, whoa. There's a lot of really great transitions in Stay. I talked about Stay earlier, Ryan Gosling. There's a lot of great transitions in that. Like, brilliant fucking editing. I should absolutely review that film because I love it. But this fire ember turning into the city lights was brilliant. Wonderfully done. So Here's this actress, and I don't know her name, so I can't look her up. I mean, I don't know her character name, so I can't look her up. Here's this wonderful scene that I look forward to, honestly. And this actress who's in, she's in a quick little, 30-second scene earlier when she sets them on K and says, find out about. Anyway, here's one scene that she's really in. She gets to do something in. And every other line is fucking memorable. Every other line is amazing. Every other line feels like the essence of the film. And it's her acting that is a part of that. Absolutely a part of that. So when she says, if a baby can come from one of us, we are our own masters. Like, whoa, how's that not the essence of the film? What does it take to change the essence of a man? How does that not change you as the audience and shift your idea of who they are and what they're doing? Dying for the right cause is the most human thing we can do. Again, how can that belief and that thought coming from a replicant, how can you not believe that they are real, they are whole, they are, deserve as much, Kirk says in Star Trek 6, everyone's human. How everyone is human. So how is that not the essence of that? She is talking about how we can all be part of what they realize is human, what they realize is value. More human than human. That's not her line. That's the prostitute or whatever, the other girl's line. More human than human, but that is from the original film. What did Terrell say? More human than human. That's what his goal was, to make the replicants more human than human. And so to hear this line from the movie, from a replicant, is brilliant. Okay, maybe you don't remember the original that well. Maybe you're not a big fan of the original, but honestly, that comes from the original. Terrell's goal was more human than human. Watch the original again. He even says it. So it's brilliant that a replicant has this line in this film. It's wonderful. Okay, now the shoe, what the foot drops, the shoe drops. I forget what the term is. Now we get it. She says the baby was a girl, and I think I just saw it. Ham Abbas, Ham Abbas plays Freysa. Fucking amazing. In this scene, these lines are just amazing. You imagined it was you. Of course you did. We all wished it was us. That is why we believe. She has such a small part. Again, no small parts. She has such short screen time, but fuck, every line she says is memorable. Almost every line she says is memorable. She's just, one, she's that powerful of an actor, and two, she's that important of a character, and three, she's written that well. That everything, it's all memorable. All of it. Of course you believed it was you. Of course. We all wished it was us. That's what she says. That's why we believe. That's why we deserve to be treated as equals. That's why we deserve to be human. I don't know what to think of Wallace and his interaction with Deckard. I not for 1 minute trust him, Wallace. I believe that he is a replicant. We've already talked about that. And I don't trust him not one iota. Because everything that comes out of his mouth is an end game to what? He wants information from Deckard. everything that he does, everything that he says is part of an end game of, I need information from Deckard. So I don't trust him one iota. Again, I hate Jared Leto's performance of looking all over the place. I just don't know what to get of that. And then there's this whole online thing of the eyes. Okay, you can look it up. There's this whole ridiculous online, when he says her eyes were green, and everybody knows, Sean Young's eyes were brown, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, get over it. Who cares? The whole point is, this is not Rachel. And I'm not playing your game. That's the whole point. Whether her eyes were or weren't green, whether her eyes were or weren't brown, it doesn't matter. What matters is Deckard is telling Wallace, I'm not playing your game. This is not Rachel. This is not my Rachel. And I'm not playing your game. I'm not giving you the information you want. And this is not what I want. This is not Rachel. That's the whole point of that interaction. So who cares what color her eyes were or whether his information was true or not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get to the heart of the matter is, this is not Rachel and I'm not playing your game. And it's well done. Very well done. But it is cruel to play with his heart like that, his emotions like that. And that's just more evidence, in my opinion, that Wallace is a replicant. Or just a horrible human being. I never had a thought in my mind ever that Kay would hurt Deckard. What's her name? Freysa tells Kay to kill Deckard because we can't have Deckard lead Wallace to me. We can't, because I know too much. I know who it is. But now we know that Kay knows who it is. Now we as the audience know who it is. I mean, we know who it is now. So it's very clear at that point that the memory maker is the daughter. So we know that. I don't remember what her name is. Should I look it up? It's already 1:32. I'm not going to take time to look it up. Anyway, we know the memory maker is the daughter. So I never had a thought that Kay would kill her, even though Freysa tells him kill Kay or kill Deckard, because Deckard, you can't lead Wallace to me because I know too much. But I never thought that Kay would have done that. Never in a million years. There's just something about that character and the way that Gosling comes across. I was never in danger. I was never in fear for Deckard's life, ever. I knew he was there to rescue him, and what a brilliant rescue it was. And what a brilliant... Okay, here again, we get into that question. Did Shane die at the end or not? We don't see him die. Did Kay die at the end or not? We don't see him die. But we see him lay and give up. It's not important. The important thing is he put Deckard and the daughter in their needs in front of his own. And that's what they said before. To die for the right cause is the most human thing we can do. So whether he dies or not, it doesn't matter. He has put their importance in front of his, which is the most human thing you can do. You can give of yourself for the importance of something else, which is wonderful. And this ending is quite possibly one of the best film endings ever. It's so perfect. We don't need to see the actual interaction between the two because we've already probably built it up in our head. Again, what did Robert De Niro say? Let the audience feel. So don't give them what you might think is right or wrong. Let them think. And what they did was that. Because all we get is Harrison Ford's hand on the glass, wanting to touch his daughter, and it ends, and that's it. That's all we need. We don't need the interaction because we can feel it in our own way. We can make believe it happens in any way we want, and it's 100% perfect to each one of us. 100% perfect to each one of us, and different for everyone. And you couldn't have made it right except for not showing it, which was brilliant. I love this ending. The ending is perfect. Perfect. And on Harrison Ford. Okay, that's Blade Runner 2049. Sorry, it's, hour 34. Almost an hour 35. I promise you I'm going to get you another review before, 6 months. I'm not going to wait another 6 months. Hopefully next week, but maybe 2 weeks, I'll get you another review. I already know what I'm doing. I still have only four more challenges in the book, and I'm done with the book, and then I can go off and do any film I'd like, or any film you want me to. If you want me to review a film, let me know in the comments, and I'll review it. I'll watch anything. I'm one of those people, I'll watch anything. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll get you another review soon.